Now we're going to talk about commission-related concerns. So let's kind of clarify what I mean by commission-based. So the devil's in the details when it comes to commission-related concerns. And what this pertains to is what you find inside of your final expense contract. It's not so much what your agency or your management issues you as your first year commission. I can have a whole nother discussion about what's good, what's bad, what you should look for, what you should be concerned with. That's a whole nother conversation. What this is about is what the carriers stipulate for different factors contractually. This is something I have found that's, to me, it's a very important thing, because the devil's always in the details of any contract that you read. And as an agent, you need to maximize your income in the field. You certainly don't want to be in a situation where you're missing deals or leaving money on the table. So you need to know all the facts as far as what pays out and what percentage under what circumstances for the carriers that you're looking at. So let's take a look at a few things that I think are super important to be concerned with. Your first thing is chargeback guidelines, and this is really interesting. The traditional, typical way to deal with chargebacks is to, you don't get what you were advanced that lapses. So, for example, you write a deal. It advances $1,000 at 75%. Well, let's see if I can get the math right. Let's see. It advances $900. It's a $1,200. You're 100% commission. Advances $900. It's a $1,200 policy. Hope you're with me. It lasts 3 months before the deadbeat prospect decides against it. You've been paid. She paid 3 payments, but there's other 6 payments you've been advanced towards that you haven't. That the company has been paid. Under most circumstances, those 6 months get refunded back to the company. That, in essence, is a loan. That there's no collateral backing. So they demand that through the process of putting on new business or as earned income that comes on the back end. But the key thing is it's not yours. Okay? That's normal. That's fine. That's how it should be. However, a lot of companies, if you read their commission graph statements, their comp grids, they will give you the fine print in different circumstances where that's not true. I've just gotten done looking at several different carriers, and some of them, for example, if a particular product lapses in the first year, they'll charge back for the whole thing. So that means if guy paid into it 11 months, didn't get to the 12th payment, but he lapses for whatever reason, you have to owe back the entirety of all that. Now think about that. You could have wrote him with another company that doesn't do that, and you could have kept, in the case we just mentioned, $1,100. Whereas now you owe back an $1,100 chargeback. And little things like that begin to add up. I call it, cost creep. It's in the contract, it creeps up on you, and it can make a tremendous difference in really your financial stability with that particular carrier. Also, some companies, more prevalent with guaranteed issue carriers, they'll charge back for anything that dies in the first 2 years. Most companies, you get to the first year point, if they die after that and it's rescinded, meaning they find out they should have never issued it, then they'll charge you back for everything. But if they die and it was a legitimate death and the death claim is cleared and the claim is paid, in many cases, if it's beyond a year, you don't have a chargeback. Okay? So some companies, especially GI companies, guaranteed issue companies, by the way, if you don't get to that point of the 2-year mark, you have to be paid back everything if they die at any point in those 2 years. There's even a few, one in particular that just came out, I refuse to pick up, that will lapse you or charge back in the case of death or lapse in the first year, and then partial chargeback in the second year. It's just a waste of money and a waste of time. You don't want to fool around with that stuff that puts you in a bind, because you're going to have a huge chargeback when you least need it and expect it, and you're going to flip out. So you got to be careful about chargeback provisions. Again, ideally, pick companies that charge you back based off of what was not earned. If you earn 6 months for the lapse, you keep those 6 months. That's what's critical. And even some companies say if they lapse within the first 6 months, then you owe the whole thing back. All right, keep them going here. Whoa. All right. Time-based, product-based. I think we talked about that. Commission reductions. So here's some more devilish details. Age. Many carriers will reduce comp based on age. Probably about half of them do this. And I get why. There's a level of uncertainty at the upper echelon of humanity and human life that would dictate some level of uncertainty. And so to bolster against that, they don't pay us as much. But hey, they're a person, they're insured. If they ask all the questions and they answer them all right, hey, bottom line, they're just as good as any other, the way I look at it. So you want to make sure, especially as you get over 80 years old, find carriers out there that will pay you your full commission. Many of them will dock you by 30 points. I've seen 40 points in some carrier comp grids. Some companies reduce commission as they hit 70 and slowly slide it down. Ideally, you want to put your prospects, who are now clients, into those carriers that will pay full price or full commission to you, as long as you're not royally ripping them off. That's kind of my only exception to that. If I got to get the deal done and I'm getting paid less, so be it. Plan type. This is most common, maybe even more common than age. Generally speaking, level plans play level coverage, of course, but there are carriers out there that will reduce your commission if you write a graded plan, which is partial first and second year coverage, and then even less if you write a 2-year plan. Again, you will write graded plans and you will write 2-year waiting period plans or guaranteed issue plans. And so what has to happen is that at the end of the day, you got to be very careful about making sure that you don't write too much of that, because you'll find that a lot of that money will be going elsewhere to the company and not the commission on policy fee. This is another thing. Make sure you, if at all possible, you want to be paid on your policy fee. This adds up a lot. Many policy fees pay $30 or $40. If you're making 100% commission and you write 200 policies a year, 30 times 200 is 6,000. That's 100% commission. That's a 6,000 in commission you're not getting paid because the policy fees are not honored.